She was a mother, yet out of financial desperation, she had to send her children away to live with relatives. It tore her apart, but she had no other choice. When her husband came home and found out, they fought bitterly. He stormed out, and she thought he was leaving her for good. But in truth, he was swallowing his pride and heading to a welfare office, where he managed to get $19 in relief money. Even so, it wasn't enough to cover their bills. Eventually, he walked into a lavish boxing association headquarters, where he once was respected. Now he was begging for help from former colleagues and bosses. Some pitied old Brock and offered assistance. Others looked down on him with disdain. At last, he stood before his old manager, eyes filled with tears. The manager gave him the last bit of money he needed. Brock was finally able to bring his kids home. His family scraped through the bitter winter. Then one day, the manager came to him with a proposition, a warm-up bout. His opponent, the world's second-ranked boxer. Just showing up would earn him $250, win or lose, for Brock and his family. That kind of money could mean survival. On the day of the fight, the manager heard Brock's stomach growling. It turned out Brock hadn't even gotten any soup at the relief kitchen. He hadn't eaten all day. How could he fight like that? The manager quickly brought him a bowl of beef stew. Brock reached for it hungrily, but the manager stopped him, worried he'd get his bandaged hands dirty, and said he'd grab a spoon. But Brock couldn't wait. Staring at that steaming stew, he bent over and started eating like an animal. Just then, a journalist walked in and caught the scene. He was stunned. This was the same man once known as an undefeated legend in the ring, now so hungry he was eating with his face in a bowl. Before Brock could finish more than a couple of bites, he was called to the ring. His return to the arena electrified the crowd, but no one believed he had a chance. Not against the towering, chiseled fighter ranked number 2 in the world. From the opening bell, the other fighter went on the attack. His massive reach kept Brock on the defensive, and the punches rained down hard. One heavy blow knocked Brock to the canvas. He could have stayed down and collected his $250. Easy money, but something inside him shifted. He smiled. He got up slowly. Life had thrown harder punches than this. If he could survive that, what were a few jabs in the ring? He changed his tactics. Since his opponent had the advantage in reach, Brock closed the gap, turning it into a slugfest. Known as the Bulldog in his prime, Brock came alive. Taking hits was his specialty. He just needed one good shot. He waited for an opening, then let loose a devastating punch that stunned the arena. The crowd went wild. Even his manager was in disbelief, yelling in excitement. What no one knew was that Brock's time working the docks had transformed his once injured right hand into a weapon of strength. His opponent crumpled. Brock had just taken down the world's number 2 boxer. This battered and broken fighter had used that same wounded hand to create a miracle. After the match, Brock finally got to devour that stew. Reporters swarmed around him. That fight didn't just earn him money, it brought him redemption and catapulted him back into the spotlight, back into